Hey, customers, welcome back to another episode of Fast Film, where we cover all the news and reviews just for yous. This week, we're covering July 3rd through July 9th. Our first trailer this week is going to be the Suicide Squad Isekai, I think is what it's called. It's an anime style show starring the characters from Suicide Squad, so we're definitely getting Harley Quinn's like the main point of the trailer with the Joker. This kind of seems like DC's route with their animated stuff is to make this anime style like show. They just dropped the first two episodes of My Adventures with Superman. That's the same style. We'll kind of get it covering that a little bit later in this show.
And also with Insidious The Red Door releasing this weekend, we also got the trailer for The Nun 2. Valak is back to rising Sister Irene from the first movie, and it looks pretty interesting. I saw the first one. I can't lie, I was really drunk when I saw it, so I don't remember shit of it. So this gives me a good reason to rewatch it to see the second one. And it looks pretty interesting. The cool thing is, like, there is one scene where there's a newspaper stand, and then the wind starts blowing the magazines, and it starts shaping Valak, the demonic nun. So it looks pretty cool. Nun will be out in theaters on September 8th.
Cool. So we also got a biopic about Bob Marley starring Kingsley Ben-Adir that's going to be coming out. Kingsley Ben-Adir is currently playing Gravik on Secret Invasion, which, if you're not watching, is been a pretty dope show so far. Each episode's gotten better. But with this, he's going to be playing Bob Marley as usual. It's going to be a typical biopic. We're going to learn about his life, some major event that takes place. And I mean, biopics tend to be Oscar bait. So it's either Oscar bait or they end up being really bad. We'll just kind of see how this one plays out when they finally do drop this one.
He does kind of look like Crabman, though.
He does look like Crabman from My Name is Earl.
Yeah. And we also got the trailer for Killers of the Flower Moon, which is Martin Scorsese's film. It has a big lineup. It has a big cast. We have Leonardo DiCaprio and Robert De Niro being the forefront of the characters. And it's going to be based on the true story of the Osage tribe, where they had members mysteriously murdered, and it causes this whole big FBI investigation. And it looks really good. It looks pretty good movie. This one's going to be out in theaters on October 20th, which is a little weird that it's an Apple movie, but it's specifically for theaters.
Yeah, I mean, I wonder if it's going to be another like 4-hour epic we got to sit through from Scorsese.
It's 3.5. It's 3.5.
Yeah, I think that's what The Irishman was. For headlines this week, Greta Gerwig with her Barbie movie coming out soon. They've started announcing what her next project's going to be. She's writing and directing 2 movies, 2 Chronicles of Narnia movies for Netflix. I mean, these movies did pretty well when they first came out in theaters. I mean, I think 15 years ago at this point. So it's about time for a reboot. Guess they're just going to be dropping to Netflix. At least she's pretty good, so hopefully these are going to come out good as well.
Yeah. Doesn't that have Xavier in it with like goat feet?
Yeah.
What's his name?
James McAvoy. Yeah,
there you go. He's a goat or a ram,
a satyr or something.
Yeah.
I don't know. I always just think it's the Jesus lion is what it is.
Jesus lion.
That's what it is. It's Jesus.
Is he Jesus?
Yeah, it's just a lion.
You didn't know that? No, I never watched those movies. I just thought it was a closet.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so John Wick 5. That's going to be interesting. The director of John Wick, Chad Stahelski, whatever, however you pronounce his name, he spoke about the ending of John Wick 4 and that it wasn't the ending they wanted originally. Apparently, they had an alternative ending where John Wick comes out at the very end. So he apparently survives his gunshot wounds and continues going on being John Wick. But apparently it tested very bad in test screening, so they ended up just killing him off of the movies. But it's a little weird what they're going to try to do. They don't exactly know yet because 4 and 5 were announced together at the same time. So we don't know exactly what's going to happen.
I did see like this theory for what they should do that sounded super cool. Is John Wick has to fight his way through hell to get like through the 9 circles of hell to get to heaven and be with his wife.
Dude, that's sick. That's like Dante's Inferno.
Exactly. That would be pretty cool. So there's big news that's been coming out. I mean, Deadpool 3 has been currently filming, and they just keep announcing more and more actors that are going to be in this. Apparently, we're getting Ben Affleck as Daredevil, and the one they announced this week is Jennifer Gardner is returning as Elektra. I mean, I swear this movie has everyone in it. It just can't be true that all these people are going to be doing this. We're getting Halle Berry apparently as Storm. She's been kind of seen around the set with her silver hair. I mean, I think maybe what they're going to try to do with this whole movie is end up trying to kill the Fox Marvel universe that used to exist since now it's part of the MCU. So we'll see what they end up doing.
So they're just gonna kill everyone like he did with Green Lantern and the original Deadpool.
Either kill him or like some figure out a way to pull him in. But I mean, there is like the Deadpool kills the Marvel Universe comics, so you
There
could
is,
definitely
yeah.
get into that.
But I also heard that isn't he not allowed to speak right now during the whole strike and shit? Like they can't film and speak or something.
They can't. I don't even. Yeah, it's something like that. And because they're not supposed to film anything really, because you're kind of like crossing the line.
Yeah.
But we'll see what they end up doing. Hopefully that strike ends soon.
Fuck those writers. But Tom Cruise wants to keep making Mission Impossible movies until he's 80. As we mentioned last week, it's somewhat like Harrison Ford doesn't want to stop acting and working until he's pretty much dead, which is pretty close. But Tom Cruise also wants to do the same thing. He wants to keep going with Mission Impossible until he's 80. He recently turned 61 on July 3rd, and that's when he said that he doesn't want to stop making these movies. So let's see. Maybe he fucking dies by stunt on scene or some shit. Who knows?
Yeah.
Let's get into reviews.
Well, real quick, I can't believe Tom Cruise is fucking 61. He still looks pretty good.
Dude. He's fucking hot for that age, dude.
God. So yeah, for reviews this week, the new Netflix movie that came out is The Outlaws. It's starring Pierce Brosnan, Adam Devine, and Ellen Barkin. Yeah, is that his name? Adam Devine?
Yeah, the guy from Workaholics.
He was fucking terrible in this. There's two. This is one of two comedies that came out this week. The one on Netflix, and then Joyride, which I'll be covering later. And I saw Joyride first, and man, it's a massive contrast between the two. This movie is just cheesy. It's not very funny. Adam Devine is just so over the top bad in this. I mean, the whole story is about he's engaged to a woman he's never met her parents, and of course, he runs a bank. And her parents are bank robbers. So all this shit happens. The writing's really corny for sure. I mean, they even throw in this line about James Bond that I think's in the trailer. So if you go check out the trailer, you get it. In the movie, you can almost see Pierce Brosnan like rolling his eyes that he has to say this shit. Like he's like, oh my fucking God, I was James Bond and now I'm making this crap. But I'm sure he got paid like crazy. There is some decent action that kind of kicks up towards the end of the second act, beginning of the third. It's a skip from me. It's definitely a nope, unless you're so desperate for something to watch or just like really corny comedies. I would skip this one. It's a nope. And then we brought up My Adventures with Superman a little earlier. I know, Luis, you caught this one a little bit too.
It's on the first one.
It's on Adult Swim, and it's coming out, and it's on HBO like the next day as well. I mean, the art style is definitely anime. I do kind of like how it's fitting for this. It's definitely a different look. There's been the 2-episode premiere. I enjoyed both of them. I'm going to give it a dope for now. I'm going to watch the whole season. I'll come back and review everything for you guys when it's all said and done.
I knew it was anime because I kept seeing that ooh face, like the ones they do in anime.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know how they're just going this route because they're doing that Suicide Squad one too.
Anime's coming back.
I guess. I mean, anime never went anywhere, right?
No, fuck anime. But The Idol finally ended, and Jesus fucking Christ, thank God it's over. It's only 5 episodes, but it was a struggle to get through. So every episode is just fucking sexualization of everything, like the smallest fucking things. There's no point of the sex going on. Like one part, she's just sitting on the couch, and then she puts a cup with ice on her cooter. It's fucking weird. And then she crushes it and cuts her legs open, which is fucking weird. But it's honestly, I feel like everyone hated this show because the acting was very bad. It's not that great. I mean, I didn't even know that's Johnny Depp's daughter. And then once I looked at her, and I'm like, that's fucking Johnny Depp with titties. That's all it is. But throughout the whole show, you really start to hate Tedros, who is played by The Weeknd. And you hate him pretty much from like the whole beginning to somewhat the end of the show. But then towards the end of it, you also kind of notice that Jocelyn, the character played by Johnny Depp's daughter, I forget her name. She's
Lily Rose or something.
Lily Rose, yes. And she also kind of is a bitch in the show. So he's trying to play her. Like you find out that he's manipulating everything to get close to her so he can get her money and then eventually sign his friends who are artists as well onto a label. But then she's also using him. It's weird. Like he beats her for motivation because she wants to be beat. Because her mom, I guess, beat her as a child for motivation as well. So it's very weird. Hank Azaria is also in this. And I will say that my favorite part of this whole show was his ending monologue in the last episode. He does a really good monologue. Yeah, it's pretty much the Little Red Riding Hood story that he's repeating. But the way he says it and acts it is like threatening The Weeknd. He's telling him like, I will fucking kill you kind of thing. And he came off as a badass in that scene, more than a badass in The Weeknd wanted to be in the show. But unfortunately for me, it's going to be an I. I'm giving it an I only specifically because I feel like the story could have been done a lot better if they actually kind of focused more on that. But yeah, that's it for The Weeknd. Finally.
That looks so bad. Every clip I've seen has just been like, how is this made?
Yeah, it's like it was very hard to get through. But I mean, the last episode was probably my favorite one. It's a good episode, the last one.
I mean, behind the scenes stuff for the very small audience we've definitely been sending, or I think I'm the one sending you guys clips that I kept seeing on Twitter of how bad this shit was. But
stretch that tiny fucking little pussy.
That's so fucking bad, dude. So bad. No, it's that I'm gonna beat your ass. I'm gonna drag your ass down. Like,
I saw that. It was so bad. I'm like, dude, this is horrible. Like, how you're not intimidating, Weeknd.
Yeah, it's not scary at all. For the movie that I caught in theaters this week, though, is going to be Joyride. It's a raunchy comedy. It's definitely rude and vulgar. It was a lot of fun, though. I had a great time with this. The cast was pretty unknown to me, with like maybe Ashley Park being the one person I recognized in this. She was just in that show Beef on Netflix, which you haven't caught. You should check that out. The story's all about this girl going back to China after she had been adopted by a white family from there. She returns home trying to find her birth mother. Of course, crazy stuff has to happen along the way because it is a raunchy comedy. And I mean, it's just a wild adventure. It was a lot of fun. We were like the group I was with, we were cracking up the whole time. If you do not like raunchy comedies, though, skip it. When we went and saw this in theaters, it was our group of 4 and like 2 older people. And the 2 older people left like maybe half an hour into it. They were just like, couldn't handle it because it just like gets a little intense. But overall, I really like this. I mean, it's been doing terrible at the box office, so I would not be surprised in like 10 years people talking about this as like a hidden gem. If we're still doing this show, we'll probably end up having this as a deep cut at some point. But it's definitely going to get a dope for me. If you like raunchy comedies, check this one out for sure.
Raunchy comedies are making a comeback, I guess.
They definitely are with this and No Hard Feelings. Like they are making a comeback this year. So it's kind of nice to see.
Yeah. And for this week, I saw Insidious, The Red Door in theaters. Well, not really theaters. I went to the drive-in because I have a 2-year-old, so that's the best way we can do. Usually we do go to the drive-in, and because that's the best case scenario for us with the 2-year-old. But we left really early this time because we figured, well, it's a horror movie. It's a drive-in. There's going to be a lot of people going. No, we got there about 40 minutes early. There was only 2 cars ahead of us. So we got there really early. We saw the credits for Joyride, like you saw. We saw the credits for that. And it was probably the worst fucking experience at the drive-in. Like, knowing that this is a horror movie, I knew it was going to be dark, but fuck, I had no idea it was going to be this dark. Like, literally throughout the whole movie, I could not see a fucking thing. The movie wasn't that great. And if it was, I couldn't see shit. So all we did, we pretty much listened to an audiobook of the script for the movie, pretty much. But I mean, I wasn't really excited for it either because I did not see any really like publicity or any marketing for this movie. I only saw the trailer once and I was like, oh fuck, okay, I'll check it out. I like those movies. I'm the horror guy here. I like watching horror movies. Yeah. And this one wasn't a hit. It wasn't good. There was one scene that did catch us off guard, which is at the beginning, pretty much within the first 20 minutes, and we're like, fuck, this is pretty scary. This is going to be a good movie. And then from there, it just all went downhill. Wasn't that great. The one thing for this movie is at the end credits, it does have Patrick Wilson, the lead guy in the movie. He is singing on a song with the band Ghost, who I am thoroughly into. I like them a lot, which I'm actually going to go see them in a couple weeks next month. I'm going to go see them. And that was probably my favorite part of the movie. And I'm going to give it an eye. I'll give it an eye specifically because I couldn't see it visually. So that's it.
Yeah.
Insidious was okay.
I mean, that's definitely the problem with like seeing a horror movie that's super dark or any movie that's really dark at a drive-in. Yeah. Like I saw the first It movie at a drive-in, and a lot of that sewer stuff that like when they were down in the sewer, it was hard to see any of that, you know? Then Luis and I both watched Tom Segura's new stand-up special, yes, Sledgehammer. Yep. And man, I don't know about Luis because we haven't talked about it yet, but I loved it. I thought it was great.
Dude, I loved it too. It was fucking hilarious. God,
Tom Segura is by far my favorite stand-up comedian. Going through like some of the ones that I've watched recently, like Chris Rock's new one, John Mulaney, Bert Kreischer, they all have kind of gotten too famous for themselves. Like they don't feel like they connect to an audience anymore. And Tom still just feels like Tom. So I mean that made it great on his own. And his closing bit about his mom on the edibles is fucking fantastic.
That's fucking hilarious.
I loved it. So what'd you think, Luis?
I feel like this whole like stand-up was kind of a bit of a fan service as well, because a lot of the jokes he did are from like the shit that goes on with the podcast.
It's definitely like, your mom's house stuff.
Yeah, it's like you have Garth Brooks, and then you have him joking about Bert Kreischer, and then you also have him bringing up a story with Joey Diaz. I feel like he's just kind of touching what the audience kind of wants to hear, kind of thing. But I liked it too because, like you said, like he's not trying to like distance himself from the audience, where like you said, like the other ones have gotten too big for their own good. But like he's talking about his family, like he's trying to like he's making jokes about like a family man kind of thing, which I really enjoyed. Like
a lot of them, like I really noticed with like Chris Rock and Bert's new one, where it's like I have all this money now. Like they kind of talk about it like that, and it's like, yeah, but we don't relate to it as an audience. Like your common person doesn't get that stuff. As Tom's like talking about his kid, or like he talked about when he got hurt, and then when his wife got hurt. He was just like, I know what it looks like.
Okay, so I wanted to ask you this because I know you saw him on this tour, right?
I didn't get to go, actually. I didn't get to go.
Okay.
I had the tickets, but we ended up having to sell them. I had to work. I do have a friend, though, who went to this and saw him live when he was doing this. And I haven't talked to him yet to see if it's like the same shit, but I think
that's what I was going to ask. I was going to ask you, was it the same like stand-up routine that I
think it's exactly the same one. But I'll it's a good question. I'll have to ask Nick after we finish recording.
Nick, I remember Nick.
Yeah. But yeah, I loved.
It's a definitely dope for me.
Yeah, this is definitely a dope stand-up special. I really enjoyed it. Tom's the fucking goat, man. He's one of the best stand-up comedians, I think. He's when he talks about like the supermodel, it's like, yep, this is dope. Like,
that's like the first 2 minutes too.
Yeah, I mean, check out his special. It's on Netflix right now. It's a definite dope from both of us.
Very good.
And then for deep cuts this week, since we do have Mission Impossible coming to theaters, it's actually coming to theaters on Wednesday. Luis and I have picked a couple Tom Cruise movies for you. Ones that didn't become massive franchises, which is hard to find with his stuff because he's just kind of one of the last living movies.
It was a little hard with Tom Cruise.
Yeah. But my pick this week is going to be Collateral. It's from 2004. It's Tom Cruise, Jada Pinkett Smith, and Jamie Foxx. Oh, and Mark Ruffalo. Jamie Foxx is a cab driver who picks up probably the worst fare you could ever end up with. He takes Tom Cruise around. His name is Vincent. He's a contract killer, and he has to go around killing all these people, and he just makes Jamie Foxx drive him and do this whole thing. You can currently find it streaming on Paramount Plus. I mean, it's on Amazon to rent as well, but man, this is a great movie. Tom Cruise playing a bad guy is so rare, and he does such a great job. It kind of is like an out of character thing for him, since he's always like the protagonist and stuff. I mean, and he just kills it anytime he's like not the main guy. Like if he's the bad guy, or I think of Tropic Thunder when he's the agent, and he's just so out of left field that it's like, oh man, like he's great. He doesn't get enough credit. He's actually a great actor, and in this movie he got to kind of show it. And a little behind the scenes stuff for this movie. I know he trained so much like to try to like just blend in with people that he sat down. He was dressed as a UPS driver. He sat down with a guy, had a full dinner with him, and the guy had or a lunch with him. And the guy recognized him one fucking bit. Like he just blended in, played like that guy, and he just couldn't tell, which is just kind of shows he really is great. I mean, he is a little Scientology crazy, but he's still a great actor, and he's great in this. So check it out.
He's a shit dad too, isn't he?
I don't know. Probably.
Wait, weren't they going to make a spin-off movie off of the character from Tropic Thunder with him?
I don't know. I haven't heard anything about that. I think they might be scared now because it's like that whole thing. Could you make that movie with Robert Downey Jr. in blackface?
Yeah.
Probably not. So...
Yeah. So for me, when it comes to Tom Cruise, you automatically think like Mission Impossible, Top Gun, like the Jerry Maguire movies. I think of Vanilla Sky. Vanilla Sky is for me, it's one of his best movies, and I love it. I love it a lot, and I love that also it's not really spoken about as much. I feel like it's kind of a hidden gem. It's a fucking insane, wild ride of a movie. Like he's a rich, gorgeous looking dude in the movie. And he's having kind of like a friends with benefits relationship with Cameron Diaz. And he meets Penelope Cruz at a party, and Cameron Diaz isn't happy. So she ends up fucking pretty much taking him for a ride, literally, where they drive off a bridge. And then at the beginning of the movie, he's being questioned by Kurt Russell. I guess he's like a psychiatrist trying to figure out like why he's charged with murder. So you kind of figured like something happened. Like we don't know exactly what happened yet, but we're gonna see. And you don't know who's dead yet. You don't find out if it's Cameron Diaz or if it's Penelope Cruz who's murdered. But someone gets murdered, and he ends up wearing a face mask throughout the whole movie, where it's like present day kind of things. He has a face mask because he's disfigured on the face. But it's, without giving out too many spoilers for this old ass movie, it's a great movie. There's a big twist at the end. Like when I first saw it, the twist for the movie, I was just mind blown. I had no idea that was coming. There are like little tiny like tidbits throughout the movie that kind of hints at what might happen later, but you don't really know what's going to happen. And then it happens, and you're like, well, fuck me. Okay, this is completely out of left field.
One of those ones where multiple viewings, you kind of like, oh, now, like, I get it, that kind of thing. Yeah,
like earlier today, like I was kind of like just skimming through the movie because I was like, fuck it, let me just skim through it. Let me get some notes on this movie. And as I'm watching it, I'm like, oh shit, like that's a major fucking tidbit that no one's gonna notice later on. It's a great movie. It's streaming on Paramount, and I believe it's also on Showtime. So please check this one out.
This is doesn't this the one where he runs through Times Square?
Yes, that's the beginning of the movie. Like
that's like such a huge deal.
Yeah, so the point of it, like it's at the beginning where he wakes up, he gets in his car, and like he starts driving, and he's noticing that there's no cars on the road. And so he starts driving, and he pulls up to Times Square. No one, like not a single person. Cars and motorcycles are there, but no one's driving. And so he gets out and he runs through it and he starts screaming. And I'm, as like you were saying, like I watched it and I'm like, God, I wonder how much they fucking spent to completely shut down Times Square like that. Like to have no one. Yeah. But
it's a huge deal. So it was pretty cool that they did that.
It is pretty cool. It's definitely dope for me. Paramount Plus and Showtime. Check it out. And that's it for today, folks. Here's what's coming out this week. Have a good one. Where's the body, Garth?
Where's the body, Garth? Where are the bodies?